I'm Tyson, Alger. I'm joined here by Letourneau, and we are in Las Vegas for a basketball tournament, but Pac-12 Baseball actually starts tomorrow on Friday. So we thought we would get together a little bit and take a little look at Oregon, who I cover, Oregon State, who you cover, and a little bit of the rest of the Pac-12 just in general. And it seems like baseball just crept up, and they've already played about a solid 15 games or so, and yeah, it's here.
It's looking like it's going to be a pretty strong year for the Pac-12. You have 4 teams right now ranked in the top 16 in Baseball America. Oregon at number 8, USC at number 9, UCLA at number 11, and Arizona State at number 16. You have several teams riding pretty major winning streaks. You actually have 4 teams with won over 5 games in a row. So teams are looking good. It'll be interesting to see how it kind of shakes out once we get into conference play.
Yeah, I mean, there's already been some big kind of shocks early, like USC, a team that wasn't really expected to do a whole lot this year. They just went into this Dodger Town tournament in LA, and they beat number 1 Vanderbilt. They beat, I believe, number 6 TCU. They beat number 7 UCLA. And so all of a sudden they went from being, I think they were ranked 25th to up to number, are they 9?
Mm-hmm.
That's a insanely good weekend for a team that, really nobody was expecting a whole lot of. But enough about everyone else. We'll take a quick look at the Oregon and Oregon State teams. Oregon State coming off a incredible regular season last year, a disappointing playoff. What do they got coming back this season?
They were kind of in reloading mode. They had a mass exodus, losing some program greats and Michael Conforto, Dylan Davis, Ben Wetzler, Jace Fry. I mean, they lost a ton of big time talent. But these young guys have really come in and impressed throughout non-conference play. KJ Harrison, true freshman out of Hawaii, playing first base, has been one of the best hitters, not only in the Pac-12, but in the nation. Oregon State is hitting home runs at a record-setting clip right now. They're riding a 9-game winning streak. This is a team that there were real doubts whether or not they could make the NCAA tournament entering the season, and they not only look like an NCAA tournament team right now, they look like a team that could potentially contend for maybe a third Pac-12 title. I mean, it's early, but they beat some pretty good teams in non-conference. They beat Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things of don't sleep on Oregon State when it comes to baseball. This is time and again proven to be one of the the premier college baseball programs in the country, and you can lose all the country talent like Confortos and Ben Wetzlers, but they're going to reload. I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing since 2006 when they won the College World Series. They reload, and Oregon's kind of a little bit the same this year, but I think Oregon had a lot more talent coming back than Oregon State did. You had Mitchell Tolman coming back, who led the team in batting last year in RBIs. He's moved over to second base. You had Sean Chase coming back, who hit 14 home runs last year at catcher. And, for the first time in George Horton's era as Oregon's head coach, the Ducks actually have a better kind of lineup than they do rotation, or at least that was kind of the trend going into the season, because not only did you have some of those guys coming back, but you had 3 big transfers in Matt Ureste, Phil Craig St. Louis, and Brandon Cuddy, who have all started the season really strong. Matt Ureste has just been huge for them in the leadoff spot. Cuddy's been hitting some home runs, and St. Louis has been coming along. But it's just Oregon's pitching staff is still a little bit of a question mark, because you got Cole Irvin coming back from Tommy John surgery, and he's still on a pitch count. But him combined with Connor Harbor have been just excellent on Fridays. David Peterson, a freshman, has been solid on Saturdays, and Jack Carricker has been good on Sundays. And they had such a good streak going. They took 3 or 4 from Hawaii. They took 2 or 3 from number 22 Santa Barbara, and then they swept St. John's. And then they just hit a crazy midweek slump this week. They just lost a 2-game series to San Francisco, which you and I were talking about earlier was kind of what happened there. And those aren't good losses, but then again, they're midweek losses. The Ducks aren't putting out their best arms. They aren't as deep in the rotation as they have been before. So I wouldn't put too much credence into those midweek losses coming up into Pac-12 play, where they're going to be opening up at Cal.
In your mind, should the Ducks still be considered the favorite in this conference?
I think they should be considered to be in that top 3, because it's the Pac-12 is absolutely loaded this year. I know last year there was a lot of talk of East Coast bias in some of the rankings and in some of the seedings, but you look at the Pac-12. I mean, it's 4 top 25 teams right now, and it's not even like it's not top 25 teams of them being close to the end. It's almost 4 top 10 teams right now. Like it's such a deep conference, and I like Stanford's returning 100% of its starting pitching from last year too. They're going to be a contender. Washington lost a lot of talent from its kind of upstart team last year, but maybe they can keep things going there. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be super competitive.
Yeah, no, last year kind of felt like a transitional year in the conference. You had Washington kind of coming out of nowhere. And Washington was talented, but it kind of felt like, to me, that they were the beneficiary.
They were riding the momentum of a new ballpark.
Right, and you had a lot of talented teams like USC and Arizona State who seemed like they were just a year away. They were still pretty young.
Very much.
And now those teams are all a year older, and they're all more experienced, and they all have been impressive. I mean, Arizona State has been they're 10-5, which maybe is a little disappointing given what people had expected from them entering the season. But they have the arms to keep up with anyone. Arizona can hit as well as any team in the country. And you have a team like Oregon State that's proving that it's Oregon State.
So what would you say is the biggest factor in Oregon State duplicating at least some of the success they had from last year, or get into the tournament at least?
Well, for me, it's got to be the bullpen because that was kind of the big question when the offense for whatever reason has just been coming together and gelling much quicker than anyone anticipated. I don't think that's going to be as big a concern as maybe people had thought entering the season. Mm-hmm. You have bats stepping up. The people that were supposed to contribute, the returners like Jeff Hendricks, are doing that and more. So I expect that to stay at a steady pace. The starting rotation is coming together, but the bullpen has been up and down. It's been a lot better this month, though. It seems like it's starting to settle into a rhythm. They basically won them a game last week. They pitched over 8 innings when Jake Thompson left early. So if that bullpen can kind of settle down and continue in its progress, I think that this could be a pretty impressive year.
Yeah, and for Oregon, for me right now, it's a combination of two things. I think it's just they need Cole Irvin to get extended into so he can pitch a full game, because if they can have that bona fide Friday ace, and when he's healthy, he is an ace, and in the limited time he's pitched this year, he's been phenomenal. So if they can extend him out and then have Harbor be there for depth either on Sundays or even as a long reliever somewhere else, I think that would be key. But then also, I think they really need to get Sean Chase going. He was one of the most surprising players in the country last year. He basically missed the first month because they didn't know if he was going to be any good or not, and came out to hit 14 home runs playing in Eugene, which is a pitcher's paradise. But right now he's batting about 215. He's just been really having some trouble making contact with the ball, and this is a lineup that is built to be a little bit better offensively, but he's kind of they call him the whammer. So, he's kind of the guy that can turn it from a average offense into a high-profile offense. So, I think that will be one of the keys going down the stretch here.
No, definitely. It's going to be a fun one, I think, this year.
Yeah, so we'll be here every week like we were last year. We'll be doing a little bit of video breakdowns, and all of our stuff is available at OregonLive.com/Ducks/Beavers, and we're looking forward to the season.